Good morning, Antarctica. This is Armed Force Radio with breaking news fresh off the intelligence teletype machine. As reported by Sector Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, the ice wall has been breached. Repeat, the myth has been buzzed. A 72-foot yacht call sign Katharsis II just circled the entire continent at the speed of physics, flying low, talking shit, and trailing high sarcasm. It even buzzed the tower of the USS Cognitive Dissonance, causing the air boss to spill his coffee. Yacht then dropped below radar, over logic, and straight through every excuse FlatEarthers duct taped to a conspiracy board. Task Force tinfoil was scrambled but failed to intercept, hampered by budget cuts, conspiracy lag, and the operational limits of the Aegis radar memes. Flat Earth Command issued a code derp emergency, citing loop GPS, nautical psyops, and something about Admiral Byrd's ghost riding shotgun. Meanwhile, on board Katharsis II, the sails were full, live tracking was logging, and the ship's hull speed was pegged like Maverick and Afterburner. And a fiberglass-hulled yacht flipped the internationally recognized gesture of "get wrecked" to the edge of the world. Sources confirm the yacht used no anti-gravity sails, no warp drive, and no penguin clearance codes, just wind, grit, and math. More on the story as it devastates social media comment sections. Now, back to reality. Some people chase sunsets, others chase clout, and then there are the FlatEarthers, who chase their own logic straight off an imaginary 65,000-mile Antarctic ice wall guarded by penguins with NDAs. Welcome back to Unfornicated, the only channel that runs personal incredulity aground and then sits around and watches reality watch it drown. Previously on this frozen freak show, we covered the resources supposedly needed to patrol the ice wall, the mythic border guarded by NASA penguins, every Navy on Earth, and probably Poseidon himself. But today, we're following a yacht that yeeted itself around Antarctica and somehow didn't fall off the edge of the world. So let's trim the sails, engage the sarcasm, and follow the cold, GPS-verified, globe-confirming voyage of the Katharsis II. Let's meet the Katharsis II, a 72-foot yacht crewed by 8 adrenaline-addicted maniacs who looked up the Southern Ocean and said, let's take a vacation inside of a blender full of ice and regret. Now, between December 2018 and February 2019, they did something never done before, circling Antarctica in a sailboat below 62 degrees south latitude, the Antarctic Treaty Zone, where weather doesn't happen so much as it tries to murder you. Creatively. We're talking 50 to 60 knot winds screaming like banshees, house-sized waves crashing over the bow and flash freezing your eyelids, and ice and growlers lurking like scientific facts at a Flat Earth conference. And the Katharsis II? It was made of glass fiber. That's right, a composite hull, not metal, definitely not reinforced icebreaker steel. Just high-grade fiberglass, resin, and a prayer, which makes colliding with ice about as safe as headbutting a brick wall with a wine glass. Yet, despite the risk, they navigated some of the most treacherous waters on Earth. And they didn't do it in secret. They did it under the watchful eyes of the World Sailing Speed Record Council, WSSRC, and Guinness World Records. For these institutions to even entertain your claim, you need dual redundant tracking systems. These include the YB3 satellite trackers, which provides real-time transmissions via the Iridium satellite network, and AIS, or Automatic Identification System. that broadcasts the vessel's identity, position, speed, and heading at regular intervals using VHF radio signals. Those same signals are then picked up by satellites and shore stations, providing a layered verification independent of GPS alone. And lastly, we have manually logged position reports by the crew, and these are reviewed and verified by race officials. Now, for the skeptics at home still struggling with reality, yes, boats don't just guess their location. This wasn't a weekend joyride. It was a documented circumnavigation with timestamps, telemetry, and 24/7 location pings, all public data. In other words, too much transparency for the average conspiracy theorist to process. And if you're still suspicious, go look it up for yourself. You can use independent AIS tracking databases like marine traffic. You'll find the same journey, same timestamps, same reality. And should you still want to question the veracity of the WSSRC tracking and records, well, surely you apply that same skepticism to low-resolution world record distance photographs from online memes, or maybe VHF's distance records, the ones maintained by the ARRL, both of which are often used to prove the flat Earth theory, right? I doubt it. No naval conspiracy, no penguin ambush, just brutal sailing, real data, in a world that keeps curving. And just to kill another favorite trope while we're here, GPS does not use cell towers. Out there are no cell towers. It's satellites or nothing. The Southern Ocean has more icebergs than signal bars, and neither gives a damn about your data plan. GPS operates via a process called trilateration from at least 3 satellites. It measures the distance based on the time delay of the signals received. Imagine 3 satellites as spotlights tracking your boat. Their beams intersect, pinpointing exactly where you are in 3D space. No cell towers, no magic, just math. Now, let me answer the question of what exactly is hull speed, and this is kind of where we get technical. If your yacht has a displacement hull, like the Katharsis II, it doesn't surf or plane on top of the water. It bulldozes through it, creating 2 waves, one at the bow, one at the stern. Now, the faster you go, the further apart those waves stretch. Eventually, your boat gets trapped in its own watery trench. Going faster means climbing uphill through water. Every extra knot becomes exponentially more difficult. And that resistance is called hull speed. It's the theoretical speed limit of a displacement hull. And because of centuries of applied engineering, we can actually use an equation to calculate this hull speed. This equation is this. Hull speed in knots equals 1.34 constant multiplied by the square root of waterline length in feet. Now, let's pause here for a moment. Undoubtedly, some flat earther will question this 1.34 constant. But you see, it's not arbitrary. It's not pulled out of thin air. It's not reverse engineered. It comes from Airy's wave theory, which explains that wave speed is determined by its wavelength. And spoiler alert, the same theory uses gravity as the force in the equation. Now, simply put, longer waves travel faster than shorter ones. That's why your boat's top speed isn't just about power. It's chained to the physics of the wave it rides. But wait, did I just say theoretical speed limit? Surely in practice, there are cheat codes we can use to break the speed limit. I mean, after all, everyone knows the speed limit is only a suggestion, right? Well, yeah, sort of. Let's discuss some of these quickly. You can surf large waves, which gives you short temporary boosts of 10 to 50%, but it's unsustainable. Your average net gain is less than 5%. Sleek modern hulls, you get maybe a half to 1 knot gain, and that's 1 mile per hour on a good day. Oceanic currents can give you 1 to 2 knots, but not consistently. Load-based waterline boost, yes, the hull sits lower when loaded, therefore increasing its waterline, might net you in another half to 1 knot. Add them all up, best case scenario, and generously, a displacement hull might see a 20 to 50% gain in aggressive sailing. So a sailing yacht with a hull speed of 10 knots might be able to get up to 12 to 15 knots in rare temporary instances of ideal conditions. And how aggressive could a catharsis be considering the conditions of the Southern Ocean? Well, we've kind of already seen the answer to that question with the videos we've seen. This isn't nautical folklore. It isn't an opinion. It's wave mechanics, which is physics. Just hydrodynamics drop kicking delusion. Math, the final frontier, where flat earth logic goes to die a slow, gurgling death under the weight of numbers they don't understand and definitely can't divide by. Here's where we add insult to idiocy by doing the one thing they fear most: basic arithmetic. So let's actually apply these numbers for the Katharsis II. Now, the length at the waterline for this yacht is 64 feet. Now, the square root of 64 is 8. 1.34 times 8 equals 10.72 knots, or after a conversion, 12.3 miles per hour. So if there were ideal conditions, and if the Katharsis II sailed aggressively, it might reach speeds of 12 to 15 knots, or 14 to 17 miles per hour. But averaging that speed over 72 days in storms and chaos, that's not physics. That's pure copium-induced fantasy. Now, flat earthers believe Antarctica isn't a continent. It's a giant frozen ring encircling their celestial pancake, a snow-themed Thunderdome arena guarded by the combined world's navies and penguins for reasons. The actual course that the Katharsis II sailed was below the 60-degree south parallel, the cold belt of Earth just above Antarctica. Now, on a globe, that latitude has a circumference of about 10,800 miles. But in flat Earth Fantasyland, that same parallel stretches out to over almost a whopping 41,500 miles. Because if the Earth's flat and Antarctica rings the whole thing like a crust on a pizza, the outer circle has to be bigger. This number isn't just pulled from a snow globe. It's derived by multiplying the known circumference of Earth's equator by 5/3. Now, if that sentence confused you, you probably shouldn't be doing math unsupervised. But let me give you a hint. Start up by breaking up the globe latitude into 30-degree segments, starting from the North Pole at 90 degrees north. Now, how many segments before you get to 60 degrees south latitude? Do you follow now? Or are you still blind? Now, let's see if the Katharsis II could have pulled off that ridiculous mileage on their real-world timeline. So the flat Earth distance is 41,500 miles. The time it took was 72 days. That required an average speed of 576 miles per day, or 24 miles per hour. That's not a sailing record. That's a Red Bull commercial. We just calculated the Katharsis II maximum hull speed, which is based on the length of the hull at the waterline. The fastest it can go without hydroplaning like a skipping stone is 12 miles per hour. And to maintain 24 miles per hour through Iceberg Alley, you'd have better odds water skiing behind a cocaine-fueled Norwal. In essence, you'd need a waterline of 318 feet to even reach that speed. That's the territory of 19th century clipper ships or small warships powered by gas turbine engines, not a fiberglass sailing yacht built for survival, not speed. And we're not talking about average speed. We're talking max speed. Through storms, ice fields, fog thicker than flat Earth logic. I mean, it's laughable. And here's why. Double the speed equals quadruple the drag. Wind isn't a conveyor belt. It's chaos on shuffle. More speed equals harder face plants in the waves in a fiberglass boat. That's not sailing. That's fast and furious Antarctic drift. And again, this was a fiberglass boat, light, flexible, strong, but about as ice resistant as a wine glass in a bar fight. Faced with this math massacre, flat earthers go full deep state. They have claimed that GPS data was looped, fabricated, forged. Right. Sure. So let's assume every single tracker, satellite logbook, AIS ping, onboard photo, weather report, timestamp update, and WSSRC verification was false. And this was coordinated across multiple independent agencies, despite redundant systems, despite being verified by experts in real-time tracking, and falsified by every crew member. All for the purpose of what? Dunking on social media accounts of globe deniers with middle school math skills? Sure. These are the same people who take a freak photograph said to be a world record distance like divine revelation. But when the World Sailing Speed Record Council publishes a GPS verified, publicly monitored polar circumnavigation, nah, bro, that's just globalist fiction. Because truth only matters when it flatters their delusion. Otherwise, it's deep state toilet paper. Now, remember, cognitive dissonance comes with a lifetime supply of denial and a commemorative tinfoil mug. Now in the merch store. So unless Katharsis II secretly became a 300-foot clipper ship, broke the laws of wave physics, dodged mile-wide icebergs, and sprinted 24 miles per hour through hurricane-force winds without stopping, then the flat Earth version isn't just wrong. It's mathematically illiterate, physically impossible, and only believed by people who think YouTube is peer-reviewed. Whole speed isn't a theory. This isn't a debate. It's frostbite certified physics verified by shipbuilders, sailors, and anyone who's passed high school science without yelling, NASA lies. But flat earthers, they've got theories. The ice wall is guarded. We already addressed that one. GPS is fake. It's a NASA psyop. Ah, yes. The global conspiracy of mariners, engineers, meteorologists, and penguins. All perfectly coordinated with no leaks, no selfies, and somehow no vacation photos at the edge. But the truth, now that has receipts. It has data. It has Katharsis II, a yacht that circled Antarctica and came back with a middle finger to map denial. It didn't find an edge. It found weather, misery, and undeniable proof that Earth isn't flat, just brutally, mathematically spherical. And once the math fails, the physics laughs, and the satellite data buries their worldview in frostbite. Flat Earthers deploy their final defense, the derp defense matrix. I mean, let's take a tour of the best worst takes you'll hear in response to Katharsis II. You weren't on the boat. Well, neither were you, Captain Coatbeard. AIS can be faked. By who? The Ghost of Magellan with a Starlink account? They didn't sail the true edge. No one with a death wish hugs the Antarctic coast in a fiberglass hull. It was filmed in a studio, my personal favorite, because the Southern Ocean is secretly a giant green screen warehouse in Burbank. These aren't arguments. They're bumper stickers for cognitive dissonance. The moment someone yells NASA lies at a GPS log, you know they're fully outsourced their reckoning to memes and rage clicks. Flat Earthers dismiss every satellite-confirmed GPS ping as a hoax, yet they trust amateur radio signals to prove their version of reality. The mental gymnastics should be an Olympic event. You can't debate someone who thinks marine traffic is run by the Illuminati, but trusts weather balloon memes with Comic Sans captions, or attempts to explain physics in a bathtub with a rubber ducky. At that point, it's not a debate. It's denial dressed as discussion. Let's be clear about what the Katharsis II actually did. They circled Antarctica entirely under the 62-degree south parallel. It was documented with real-time satellite telemetry, AIS broadcast, and manual logs. It was verified by international institutions with no agenda other than don't die at sea. Flat Earth logic requires that same voyage to be 4 times longer, twice as fast, and powered by make-believe. The kind of fantasy that only works if you think tides are optional and longitude is a suggestion. Katharsis II didn't just sail a circle, it flattened an entire conspiracy movement with the most powerful force known to science: receipts. It didn't find an edge, it didn't crash into a dome, it didn't get abducted by penguins in tactical gear. It did something far worse. It proved them wrong. The globe isn't protected by naval psyops and bird commandos. It's proven, again, by one stubborn, badass sailing yacht that defied myth, science denial, and meme logic to do something incredible. In Flat Earth, it didn't even finish the tutorial. I'm Dano. This was Unfornicated. If you like this reality check, go watch my video titled The $500 Billion Conspiracy No One Can Afford. Together, these episodes are a tag team takedown of Antarctic absurdity. And depending on the comments, maybe we'll revisit the derp deflections and conclusions in a separate video and take down each one in our unique, unfornicated style. Until next time, stay curious, question boldly, and remember, misinformation is viral. Never go online without protection. Arm yourself with facts.